Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon for those of you not joining us here on the West Coast. And thank you again for joining us after our first attempt at this on Tuesday. My name is Jennifer Bennett. I'm the Senior Manager of Education and Training here at VolunteerMatch. And I want to welcome you to Are You in a Recruitment Rut? Before we get started, though, I did just want to go over a few housekeeping notes. First of all of you are on an automatic mute this morning, so you don't need to worry about any background noise on your part. Just because we can't hear your voice doesn't mean we don't want to hear from you, though. You should see a GoToWebinar toolbar in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. You can open that up. You should see the word questions with a plus sign or an arrow sign next to it. That is your questions tool. Please feel free to type in your questions as we go through today. We will be stopping about halfway through and then again at the end to answer questions. Joining me this morning is Basil. Good morning, Basil.
Good morning, everyone.
Basil's going to be keeping track of those questions. He's also going to be on Twitter this morning. So, and can we have a Twitter poll?
Absolutely. But before we dive into today's Twitter poll, I did just want to thank you all for bearing with us as we go through some of the technical issues that people regularly incur when it comes to using technology. And also just thank you for being troopers and making the time to attend our rescheduled session today. All right, so I just pushed out a poll through Twitter because we want to hear from all of you. We want to get a sense of how you guys are doing with your program and how many volunteers, especially, you recruit online every year. If you do not have Twitter, that's not a problem. You can weigh in with your answer choice using the questions toolbar in GoToWebinar. If you do have Twitter, the easiest way to access today's poll is to just type twitter.com/volunteermatch in your browser URL field, or you can also search the hashtag VMLearn on Twitter, and it should be the first or the second tweet that's up there. And today's Twitter poll is, how many volunteers do you recruit online each year? Our answer choices are 1 to 100, 101 to 250, 251 to 1,000, or over 1,000 volunteers. Again, go ahead and weigh in through Twitter or through the questions toolbar, and we'll do a recap of today's poll a little later.
Great. I know that this webinar is being recorded and the slides are also available.
Absolutely. So we are recording this webinar, and in the follow-up email that we'll send to you guys tomorrow, I'll actually include a link to the YouTube video so that you can watch it, share it, and recap it whenever you want.
Great. Thanks, Basil. Do you want to talk to us a little bit more about VolunteerMatch?
Absolutely. So you guys can see our mission statement up at the top there. VolunteerMatch strengthens communities by making it easier for good people and good causes to connect. We've actually been around for almost 20 years. We're celebrating our 20th birthday. Oh my gosh, in 20 days. Couldn't have worked out that perfectly. And we'll be doing a bunch of really cool marketing leading up to our birthday. So be on the lookout through social media, be on the lookout on our blog, and especially our website. You might see some fun stuff coming out soon. Also, as you guys can see, we support a community of almost 120,000 organizations. And have connected 13.5 million nonprofit and volunteers since we launched in 1998. Our Learning Center offers over 20 webinar topics. 20 seems to be a big focus today for some. We offer over 20 webinar topics focused on volunteer management, volunteer engagement, and volunteer match tools. And we also serve an audience of over 6,000 attendees, just like yourselves, every single year.
Great. And I understand we have a special guest today.
Absolutely. So we are joined by Gretchen Jordan from Alive, who's going to talk a little bit about Alive. Gretchen?
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for taking the time out for your professional development today. I'm so pleased that we can partner with VolunteerMatch. They provide so much great quality programming. And I can also attest they are just really nice people as well. a little bit about ALIVE, which is the Association for Leaders in Volunteer Engagement. We have been around for a little over 10 years, so half the age of VolunteerMatch, so happy birthday to you guys. And we are a national professional association for those leaders in volunteer engagement. And some of the benefits of the organization are your ability to network with your peers, whether it's in similar work environments such as museums, zoos, food service, or food banks and the like. A big opportunity to advocate or learn about more advocacy for the profession, for your professional development, for your volunteers, for your program. Lots of professional development opportunities, as well as stuff that we produce. Also on our website, we've got links to lots of other great opportunities out there as well. And then we have some discounts for our partners, including VolunteerMatch and CTBA. And again, a place where there can be some relevant and timely discussions about what's happening on the national field in terms of leaders and volunteer engagement and professional development and advocacy for volunteer engagement professionals. I would just encourage you to visit our website, which is volunteeralive.org, and that as an ALIVE member, you get a discount on a VolunteerMatch community membership, as well as VolunteerMatch members enjoy a discount on an ALIVE annual membership, and you can find more information about that on our website. And again, Basil and Jennifer, thank you so much for having us be part of that today.
Thank you, Jennifer, and thank you for the.
Gretchen.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Gretchen, and thank you for the kind words. I was thinking about something so completely different. If you guys have any questions about ALIVE or VolunteerMatch at any point during today's webinar, just let us know via the questions toolbar, and we'll try to do our best to get them answered.
Great, thanks, Basil. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about online recruiting today, how to think about the message you put forward, how to think a little bit about what information you prioritize, what we know about people looking for information online, what they're searching for, and then we're going to spend some time at the end today, sort of the second half, looking at how VolunteerMatch tries to make this as easy as possible for you. So we know sort of what people look for when they're searching for a volunteer opportunity online, what they want to know, how they want to sort of prioritize that information. We've made it as easy as possible for you to make all that happen. So recruiting online is probably never going to be the only way you find volunteers. One of the things that we do here is ask both our volunteers and our nonprofit users a lot of questions about how they find their volunteer opportunities, where they get involved, for how long they get involved. And one of the things that we learn from our organizations that work with us is that word of mouth is sort of overwhelmingly the best way to find volunteers. And if you think about your volunteer recruitment strategies, that might be the case for you as well. Many of our volunteers come to us because they know about us, especially if you are part of a national or an international organization, the Red Cross, the Girl Scouts. You know, people want to volunteer with those kinds of organizations because they know the work that they do. You might also have some more local name recognition for your organization. People might volunteer with you because they received services or attended an event that you went to, or you came to their children's school and did a presentation about the work that you're doing in the community. So that word of mouth, that sort of knowledge of who you are and what you do, is probably always going to be one of your top recruitment strategies, your top recruitment tools. When we think about recruiting online, we think about sort of spreading that word of mouth out there. We really want to reach out to people who maybe don't know about us, don't know about the opportunities that we have for volunteering. And as we look through today's opportunities and talk about these best practices, these are really going to be good for any website, whether you're recruiting on your own website, if you have a page that says volunteer with us, if you are recruiting through your local volunteer center, if you're recruiting on VolunteerMatch, if you're recruiting on any of the dozens of specific websites that are out there for mentoring or STEM opportunities or any of those kinds of opportunities. These are applicable to all of that kind of online communication. So how did we figure out what to prioritize? How did we figure out what to share with you? We took a look at those opportunities on VolunteerMatch that were really popular. Just hundreds of connections, people really wanting to volunteer. And we've got a couple now that are also sort of rising to the top that we look at and we ask what's different about them, what stands out about this opportunity. And we also took a look at 100 opportunities that nobody was interested in. They were not getting any of those connections. They weren't appealing, or no one was interested in helping that organization with this opportunity. And we tried to figure out what we could learn. What were the things that were similar to those two groups? What were different? What kinds of ideas could we pull out? Taking that in conjunction with things that we know about online marketing and online communication. So as we go through these best practices, really think about this in any sort of online tool or online channel that you're using to recruit volunteers. And you know, they're not bad ideas to think about when you're recruiting in other channels as well. All right, excuse me. The first thing you want to think about is what's that first information that a volunteer is seeing? What's pulling you in? There's on VolunteerMatch we have titles, but on almost any other website, including your own, you would have a title or a job opportunity heading. We want to make sure that that title stands out. When we first started doing these webinars, doing these trainings. This was actually one of the first sort of webinars that I developed here, sort of a tools training and best practices for recruiting online, because 11 years ago when I started, this was sort of new for everybody. We had a lot of people posting titles like volunteers needed. Now, if you were putting up a flyer at the bulletin board at the library, you might want to have had a big title that says volunteers needed, because you need to stand out from the free kittens and the after-school reading programs. But when you're posting on a volunteer recruitment website or a channel that's specifically for volunteer recruitment, you can skip that. Your people are coming to VolunteerMatch to look for volunteer opportunities. You already know who your audience is. This is an opportunity for you to catch someone's interest or maybe share some information. We've seen some really great titles come and go over time. We had a remote volunteer opportunity with the title Save the World in Your Pajamas, which was very popular. Everybody wants to save the world in their pajamas. We have also had a really popular title here that started with an education support group that was, the title was, Are You Good at Math? Become a Tutor. And now you think about that question, and some people are going to say, no, I'm horrible at math. It's not the right opportunity for me. But for those people who say to themselves, I am good at math, maybe I could be a tutor. We're starting to bring those people in from the very beginning. We're asking questions, we're creating something interesting or engaging, and we're jumping out besides, office assistant needed, volunteer needed. The other thing we want to think about when we recruit online is being brief. If you've ever gone to a web page and clicked on something and you get what we would call a word wall, just like one giant paragraph of words all smashed together, you back out of that. It's too much information. We skim online. We need to be able to process that information quickly, find what we're looking for, and either decide it's right or it's wrong. Whether we're searching for volunteer opportunities, looking for information on Wikipedia, trying to figure out if we want to go to this movie or this restaurant. So we really want to keep it brief. At VolunteerMatch, we encourage you to post a single opportunity or single listing for each opportunity that you have. And in fact, I would actually say you could post more than one listing or more than one opportunity for that position. So if I know that 2 or 3 people, different kinds of people might be interested in an opportunity, I might post 2 or 3 different descriptions of that same opportunity on VolunteerMatch. The key sort of sweet spot is about 100 words. Now, if you're 105 words, people will probably still read it all, but the goal here is not a novel. This is an introduction. This is the first part of your conversation with a prospective volunteer. The other thing we want to think about is really choosing our words carefully. When you have 100 words, we want to make sure that we are being clear, that we are being descriptive without using too much jargon or too many acronyms. There's, not to pick on the Red Cross, I don't know if we have any Red Crossers with us, but they have a position, they have a disaster action team. And those words are really powerful. Disaster action team. Those, I can sort of visualize what that looks like. For a long time on VolunteerMatch, they were abbreviating that as a DAT. We're looking for a DAT volunteer. Well, there's a missed opportunity. I don't know what a DAT, or maybe they call it a DAT volunteer is, but I sure can get some amazing ideas from a disaster action team member. So when we use our acronyms, we use our jargon, we're sort of not doing our prospective volunteers any favors. We're making them guess or wonder. Some of you know we've worked with the libraries here quite a bit, and when we first started, we did a pilot program with their adult literacy teams, and we were talking about literacy, adult literacy, literacy this and literacy that. And one of the things that I suggest, if you're not sure about the language to use, if you're not sure how to sort of find that everyday language, is to ask your volunteers what they do or how they describe what they do with your organization. And so we did that with these adult literacy volunteers. And not a single one of them used the word literacy, because that's kind of jargony. That feels like formal language. They talked about reading and teaching and mentoring. So we want to make sure that those words show up in there too, reading and teaching and mentoring. What does literacy mean? What does it mean to be a literacy volunteer? We also know that volunteers now more than ever want to make sure that they're making an impact with their time. Our time is our most valuable resource. So we need to make sure we're explaining not just what we need or who we need, but why this work matters. What's the impact? If I give you 5 hours or 15 hours or 50 hours, what can I accomplish? How am I helping my community? How am I helping the clients of your organization? How am I helping your organization? Sometimes it's just that really strong call to action. And we're going to take a look at some examples of how we can incorporate impact into our call to action. So it's not just volunteer today. It's you can change the life of a child today. You can, help your neighbors in need today. So we really want to make sure that that impact stands out. I know sometimes, just like with the sort of descriptions of what we do, it feels obvious to us. There are hungry people in our community, we need to feed them. Children are struggling in school, we need to mentor them. But it's not always obvious outside of our organizations how important this work is. We need to help our prospective volunteers connect those dots. If you can, be as clear as possible about what you expect from your volunteers. Now, we don't want to get too granular, but I like to think of these as deal breakers. Do you have to be over the age of 18? Do you have to have a driver's license? Do you need to go through a background check? Are you expected to commit for an entire school year? Do you need to go through 6 months of training before you can start? Put those kinds of pieces of information out there in a way that's, again, easily accessible and easily sort of sorted through by your prospective volunteers. Now, I will tell you, though, that volunteers may disregard that, but it's better that that information is up there and they disregard that than for them to have gone through a background check to then learn that they have to go through 6 months of training and they have to, they're traveling in the summer and they're not going to be able to make it. So we want to make sure that we're providing as much direction and support as we can. If you say volunteers need to be over the age of 18, I speak from personal experience. You will still get 17-year-olds telling you that they're very responsible, but that's a different kind of conversation than not knowing that you need to be over the age of 18 and applying anyway. Whether you're using VolunteerMatch or another online recruitment site or your own website, try to make it visually appealing. I mentioned that word wall, just like a big, dense, solid paragraph. It's hard for people to skim through. It's hard to read that kind of stuff online. Break it up when you can. Insert pictures or graphics. Make good use of your white space. So there's bullet points or indentation. If you have some HTML capabilities, putting in bolding or italics, in a very judicious way is a good idea. Don't make the whole thing bold, but if you have to be over the age of 18, maybe that gets bolded. Just sort of try to make it feel easy to read. I told you when we put together these best practices, we looked at things that we could learn from the popular and unpopular listings on VolunteerMatch. Of those 100 listings that no one was interested in, 100% of them had spelling errors and 80% of them had grammar mistakes. This is your opportunity to put your best foot forward. Make sure you've done your copy editing. Make sure you've taken a look at it on the platform. Does it have funny extra spaces? Did your apostrophes get turned into weird symbols? Did you forget to put that S in shift, and did volunteers need to stand for something else, which has happened on VolunteerMatch. We want to make sure that this is the best example of who we are. I think just like if you were to go to a website and find that it was out of date, or the colors were weird, or the font was really small and blocky, you would probably just back right out and think, gosh, they don't know what they're doing. That website looks like it was built in 1998. When you come into an opportunity and there's spelling mistakes or grammar mistakes, or there's a lot of acronyms or a lot of jargon, volunteers think, I don't know, this doesn't seem like where I want to spend my time, which again is my most valuable resource. So I'd encourage you to take that look as like a critical prospective volunteer. And I'd encourage you to share it with people inside your organization. Sometimes we think we're being clear. Sometimes we know there's supposed to be a the in that sentence, and get some fresh eyes on it. I also encourage you to reach out to someone outside of your organization, a friend, a spouse, former coworker. Ask them to take a look at it to see if they have any suggestions. Do they know what you need? Do they know what those requirements or deal breakers are? Do they know what the impact is? Does it sound compelling and interesting? Because sometimes, again, we're moving really fast. We do our work, we live it, we breathe it, we do it every day. It makes sense to us, but we need those outside eyes. All right, so moving into VolunteerMatch, we're going to take a look, taking those best practices, again, making sure that your title stands out. We're going to take a look at search results. If you haven't been on VolunteerMatch for a while, the way search results show up, the title is the most visible piece of information, followed by that first sentence. So we really want to connect those pieces. As if you're posting in other places, think about what shows up in your search results. Is it just a title? Is it a preview? What kind of information does a volunteer see before they click in to learn more? We have ways for volunteers to filter by skills, by keywords. You can add in keywords to go with your opportunity. So think about what kinds of words volunteers might use to find your opportunities, find your organization. I used the literacy example. I probably would still say we're looking for adult literacy volunteers, but I would make sure that words like reading and teaching and mentoring are also in that opportunity, either in my content or added as a keyword, so that if somebody types in reading, because they're probably not going to type in literacy, my opportunities are still going to come up. And we're going to take a look at how volunteers connect through VolunteerMatch. I'm going to show you how you can look at some tools that we have available to both our premium members and our regular accounts to make sure that you can tell if you're doing a good job. And one of the best ways to do that is to make sure that your connections stay on VolunteerMatch. So then we want our volunteers to click that I want to help button so we know if we're doing a good job. All right, so we're going to actually switch over to live site. So do we have any questions? Do you want to do an update on the Twitter poll?
Yeah, excuse me guys, let's do a quick update on our Twitter poll. We actually got a lot of responses in, which is always great to hear. Yeah, it means you guys are engaged. So we love seeing that. 11 of you voted via Twitter. Again, the question was, how many volunteers do you recruit online each year? 45% of you on Twitter say 1 to 100. 9% say 101 to 250. 27% say 251 to 1,000. And 19% say over 1,000. But what's interesting is via the questions toolbar, 12 of you said 1 to 100. Two of you say 101 to 250, and one said 251 to 1,000. So again, pretty interesting. We are seeing some similar results, and thank you guys for weighing in.
That's great. All right. Do we have any questions about the best practices?
We are all set with
Excellent.
questions.
All right. So this is how most of our volunteers find us. They come into our homepage either from a Google search or because they know about VolunteerMatch. And I would also encourage you, if you have a VolunteerMatch account, to Google your organization. Oftentimes your organization's profile page on VolunteerMatch will come up in search results ahead of your own website because we are big and we are optimized for search engines, all that good stuff. So you want to make sure that your information that's out there is good. So let's do a little search here in San Francisco. So this is what the average volunteer would do, is they would come and they would click get started and they would get that list of opportunities. So again, here's your opportunity to really stand out. Again, if I have a keyword search, maybe I really know I want to use my graphic design skills as a volunteer. So I'm going to type in graphic design. And here we go. We've got some opportunities coming up. So this is what volunteers are doing. Look, I could be a social media maven. Again, sort of jumped out, right? And then I actually kind of like this. Sometimes I don't do live searches because you really never know what you're going to get. But hi there, do you like social media such as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, etc.? We could use your help. This is not a fake opportunity. We will look at some sanitized opportunities, but this is awesome. So Matter of Trust Inc., good job, you guys. I don't think you're on this call, but if you are, you're getting a gold star. Again, that connection. They're thinking about what are people doing. They're skimming. Hi there. You know, that jumps out. Hi, how's it going?
Super conversational.
Yep,
so
yep.
Definitely great job.
So yeah, so think about that. Take a look at how your opportunities show up. Again, whether you're using VolunteerMatch or another recruitment site, think about what shows up to a volunteer. So a volunteer interested in an opportunity is going to click learn more. Now this is where, again, I might put my map in, I might, they've included a picture of the outside of their office, which is awesome. I might put together a collage of all the icons of social media channels. They've got a ton of great skills in there, right? So that's all coming up. We'll show you how to do that as well today. So the only thing I would say is while their first couple of sentences knocked it out of the park, I want to learn more. We could use your help to document our work. How, where, when, what are your goals? Why would this matter? So again, a great start. Now imagine if this was followed up by just a couple of more sentences about what they do. I don't know anything about Matter of Trust. What they do, who their clients are, how this opportunity or how this volunteer is going to make a huge difference for their organization. So off to a great start. Follow it up on that next piece. But this is a good, this will expand as you have information, but it will have one, if you get too many words in there, you'll get a little word that says more. I would encourage you to make sure that all of your content fits before you have to click for more information.
And check out all of those listed skills. So actually, if you guys list skills through VolunteerMatch, we'll mirror that opportunity over to LinkedIn's volunteer marketplace, which will just help increase the visibility. So it's really kind of like a post once and forget it type situation.
Yeah, it's definitely an amazing distribution channel. So make sure you're posting your skills and we'll take a look at where that shows up. We want volunteers to stay through that channel, especially on VolunteerMatch. We're going to show you how you can evaluate if you're doing a good job on your opportunities. Your listings and your titles are jumping out to people. We want them to click this I want to help button. Now, if you were using our membership account, if you had a membership with us, you could also add some custom questions in here, learn a little bit more. What's your favorite social media channel? I'm not going to click finish because I'm probably actually not a great social media maven, but volunteers can type in this information here and then this gets recorded in your dashboard. So let's go ahead and take a look at that dashboard. This is a demonstration account, so we have some opportunities that are set up that we've found over time that look good. If you're interested in learning more about all the great tools, I know Baz is going to talk a little bit more at the end, but this is what your dashboard looks like, and we're just going to pop into one of these opportunities so you guys don't have to watch me talk, or excuse me, watch me type. I don't know if you can watch me talk either. So here's that title, right? That great sort of jumps out at you. Use your office skills to support children. Again, sort of connecting the work to the mission. You can decide if it's takes place at a location. If it's a virtual opportunity, that means it can be done from anywhere. They never need to come to your office. They could be in, Norway or Singapore and volunteer with you, which we do get a lot of those volunteers that come in from other places. Specific dates, do you need people for a specific date? Do you need ongoing? How many volunteers do you need? Again, this helps volunteers sort of prioritize and understand what kinds of information they need from you to decide if this is a good opportunity for them. We'll take a look at what this looks like online, but here you can see, again, go use a white space. This is a sample, so of course it's demonstrating those good best practices, some bulleting in there. So again, just sort of connecting those what we need with why it matters and who you should be as a prospective volunteer. Basil mentioned those skills. We have a pretty comprehensive drop-down list of skills. You can start typing. Again, this will connect with your LinkedIn profile. So if you put in any skills, that will automatically cross-post to LinkedIn for good. Are there requirements? Do you need to go through an orientation? Do you need to be 18 or 21? So we give you those opportunities as well, and to add in photos. Let's see. We have so much stuff going on in VolunteerMatch, so let's go ahead and add in a photo of office volunteers. I showed you those opportunities, the filters at the beginning. People might know that they want to work with children and youth. People might know that they really want to work with animals. So put those in there too, so that people can help sort down, find those opportunities. And I mentioned keywords. So every word that shows up above this box is already automatically a keyword. So, but you might have some words that you may not use when you talk about the work that you do or the organization or clients that you support, but other people might. So, again, with that adult literacy, I might not use the word mentor because it's not really mentoring, but I might put mentoring in my keywords where if someone types in mentoring, my opportunity is still going to show up. In this example, they talk about children and helping a child, but people might be more colloquial. They might want to help kids or a kid. So I might put that word in my keywords, not something I want to show up in my actual content, but something I want everybody to connect with my opportunity. Same thing with animals. I know lots of people use critters and things like that that may not fit your mission, but you can still add it as a keyword. So this is your primary opportunity, get everything set up, all those things we just talked about. This is where you would incorporate it in VolunteerMatch. I'm going to go ahead and save this, and then we're going to take a look at when you don't fill in all the forms. VolunteerMatch will remind you that you need to fill in all the forms. All right, so now we're going to just take a look at some examples. As I mentioned, there's a lot of ways to sort of set up the information you prioritize. There's a lot of information that you can help share with volunteers. All right, so this one, we know that there are types of volunteers that struggle to find the thing that they want to do. So groups of volunteers struggle, children and youth, teenagers struggle to find the right opportunities for them. So if you have an opportunity that's a great group opportunity, if you have an opportunity that's a great family opportunity, put it in that title. Here we have, this is for a big walk event, fundraising walk, and they're looking for registration volunteers. Again, this is where I might get pretty granular. I need water station volunteers. I need registration volunteers. I need cleanup volunteers. Each of those roles is going to have slightly different start time, slightly different skill set needed, slightly different set of responsibilities. Be specific about who you're looking for and tell that story. So here, again, you can see 3 sort of shortish paragraphs. They put that sort of impact right there. Join us as a volunteer for our biggest fundraiser of the year. We need your help to make it happen, that call to action. Okay, there's going to be a lot of people that need to register, but don't worry, it's going to be easy. We've set this up. We're here to help you. We'll give you some training. You know, it moves pretty quickly, and you need to be there before 9 a.m. So if you are not a morning person, not good for you. Good for teams, though, and groups, right? You've got some service learning hours. I might even put that in there. Teams looking for service learning hours, we've got you, you know, come on out, support your community, support your clients. So again, a really nice example of what you can prioritize in about 100 words. I feel like if I read this, I know what they're looking for. I know if I'm going to be a good fit for that. This is what I would refer to as a low barrier to entry. There's not a lot of like requirements for this. A lot of people can do registration, and that's great too. So say that, like bring the whole family out or get your friends together. There's a nice way to sort of make that happen. All right, let's go in and take a look at another one. I thought I had opened all of these, but I guess I didn't. Sorry about that. We'll go in and just preview it so that we can just jump right in. This is sort of, again, a modified Meals on Wheels, and I really liked this title. And this actually came out of a sort of a brainstorming session we were doing with some Meals on Wheels chapters. Like, what does it matter delivering meals? How do you connect? You're driving just a few miles, but you're getting hundreds of smiles. Like, you're connecting with people. So again, that first sentence, they keep that program running and they keep our hungry seniors fed. Like, again, that nice call to action and that impact.
Yeah, and that's, sorry to jump in, it's just a great little pro tip, and it's something that we do here with the marketing team, is before we settle on, you know, one sort of final email subject line that really encourages our subscribers to click and open the email, we brainstorm 10 different subject lines. We have like a, you know, full-on meeting where we talk about the different words that we can use to really make a compelling call to action. So if that works for you guys, if you want to brainstorm 10 different possible opportunity titles before you find the perfect one, go ahead and do that. It's worked for us, and I'd love to hear if it works for you.
And, you know, if you keep them in something like a Google Doc, you can swap them out, swap out your title, see if you get better traction. This is also a great job for volunteers, both managing your VolunteerMatch account as well as doing this brainstorming, this sort of marketing language, creating those personas. We know it's a great group event. What kinds of groups do we want to target? We want to target corporate groups. We want to target family groups. We want to target service learning groups. Build those personas and then write that messaging to them. And there are a lot of people with those kinds of marketing skills out there that would want to help your organization. So don't forget that creating your online recruitment messaging can also be a great volunteer opportunity. All right, we're going to take a look at sort of before and after. So go ahead and go back to the dashboard. This is a pretty common opportunity. I know a lot of you guys struggle to find volunteers to help you in your office, to help out with your administrative work, to do sort of the behind the scenes action. And I know sometimes it can feel really hard to do that. So here's an example of what we see pretty often, which is not as good as it could be. So we're going to take a look at a before and after we've applied some of those best practices. So office volunteer, like wah wah. You're going to be in the back room with the files. No one's going to talk to you. And then it looks like this was cut and pasted straight from like a position description. Office support. Duties may include answering phones, typing, writing letters, photocopying, data processing. Wow, I just can't wait. It sounds so great. So, we try to anonymize this, but this is a real opportunity that we found on VolunteerMatch and thought, what a waste of a great opportunity, because you can tell your story of needing office support in such a different way, in such a way that's more compelling to people who are good at office skills, or maybe want to keep their office skills fresh while they're taking a break from paid work or trying to get back into paid work. Maybe they're coming back from maternity leave or coming back from taking care of an ailing, aging parent, and they want to make sure that their office skills are up to speed before they start applying for positions. There's a lot of people out there who like to be behind the scenes, who don't want to work with clients, don't want to work in the community, but can still make a difference for your organization. So this is the one we sort of previewed before. Again, use your office skills to support children. Again, this is a great place where you might want to brainstorm. Maybe there's even something better that you can tell, or a different way you can switch that story around or grab someone's interest. Are you looking for an organizing superstar? Are you looking for, an amazing database administrator? Those are the kinds of things that jump out to people that have those kinds of skills and think, I am an awesome organizer. I love to color code things. I can help you. Again, not a ton of words, right? So we looked at this one when we were going through, but the connection between the office and what we do. I've seen them also say, oh yeah, here, this is the one. We're spending way too much time looking for paperwork and not enough time granting wishes. There's your impact. Help us be more efficient. Help us serve more of our clients. Help us make dreams come true for children who are gravely ill. If you have office administration and clerical skills, you can help us make a difference in a child's life. They tell a little bit about who they are, and then they look for what they're looking for. 3 hours a week during business hours, creating and filing case files, copying and organizing, ordering and stocking supplies. Again, a lot of those things that we saw in that first description fit into these 3 bullet points, but we've made them action verbs: creating, copying, ordering, and they're a little bit feel more dynamic than typing, photocopying in a long sentence, right? It's not that wall of words. And then they're expressing their gratitude. This would be amazing for us, and you'll know that you're using your office skills to make a difference. So that's really sort of, again, that shift. And I will tell you from personal experience at VolunteerMatch, we have been able to find amazing office volunteers to come in and help us with behind the scenes stuff, to help us with file organizing, to help us with all kinds of things. When you tell this story, if you have professional level skills to train people on. Do you want to be an expert in Google Docs? We'll train you how to do that. Do you want to, get something to put on your resume? We'll be a reference for a great volunteer. We've got those skills in there. We've got those requirements in there. We've got those people that it's good for. So we're looking for people during business hours, great for people over 55. I might also write this, like trying to get your resume up to date. Come help us in our office. Again, thinking about who would be the right volunteer for this opportunity and customizing it, targeting it. All right. We're going to take just a quick look at some VolunteerMatch tools, but Basil, is there anything else you want to add about marketing, since it's really sort of, your your job?
Absolutely, and this definitely covers one of the best practices that we touched on a little earlier. It really is helpful to, once you've drafted your opportunity, take a look at it in a prospective volunteer's eyes. And you might even want to go one step further and ask some of your existing volunteers to weigh in on that opportunity. Is that something that they would find compelling enough to want to join your organization? Or maybe they might have some really helpful tips for making it better. something that you might have missed. We actually got a really great question in that I would love to share with the rest of our listeners. And Susan asks if we have any suggestions for good ways to display opportunities on an organization's website with limited stylistic options. And Susan, absolutely. I was just writing a response to you, but I figured I could let the rest of our listeners know as well. So as part of our membership suite at VolunteerMatch, once you become a VolunteerMatch member, you'll actually get access to a tool that will allow you to embed your VolunteerMatch opportunities on your own website in an incredibly seamless way. It's as simple as copying over a bit of code onto your site, and there you have it. All of your VolunteerMatch opportunities are now on your website as well. If anyone is interested in that, just send me a message through the questions toolbar, and I'm happy to send out a link.
Yeah, we have some good examples, and it's I think I can actually just show you what that looks like. That promote your opportunities. It helps you sort of customize. You can pick colors, and you can preview it so you can see if it matches your organization's website stylistically. All right. Any other questions?
We are all set for now. Oh, one of our listeners says, we use the Promote Your Listing tool on our library website, and I love it. That is great to hear. Thank you, Jamie, for sharing.
Yeah, and it's pretty much instantaneous. So as you make opportunities active, as you take them down, as you change titles, as you change content, that link between your VolunteerMatch account and your website can take a minute or two, maybe 20 minutes at the most to sync back up, but you don't have to then go to your, communications team and ask them to change something on your website. You don't have to get in line and try to prioritize. So it can be a really efficient tool because then you have more control over it. All right, so we've been talking today about how do we figure out if we're doing a good job, and we're going to take a look at some of our connections. Now again, excuse me, this is a demonstration account, so your opportunities might not look like this. Hopefully we don't have too many connections. Oh, I see that 8 showing up there, which always makes me nervous because sometimes we forget to take them back down, and then we have to tell people, sorry, you've applied for a fake opportunity. So here's where you can see your connections and your views. So a view is when someone clicks to open your opportunity. So if you're getting a lot of views but not a lot of connections, you might be similar to that social media opportunity that we saw at the beginning. Really great title, really compelling call to action in that first sentence, but then no details. How long is this going to take? What kind of structure am I going to be working in? When am I expected to do this? So a connection is when someone clicks that I want to help button. I know sometimes it feels like, oh, I should just put my email address right here in the listing, right here in the content, so that volunteers can reach out to me right away. If you do that, know that you will probably not have as many connections through VolunteerMatch as you actually do. So we'd encourage you to keep those connections on VolunteerMatch so that you can monitor them. A good page view to connections rate really depends on your opportunity. So something like that registration for the walk event or setup for the walk event, that might have a pretty high page view. It might have sort of a medium to lower connection rate. So maybe 1 in 3 volunteers is connecting because there is a specific day, there's a specific time. If you have something that's more like every Saturday we do a beach cleanup, come meet us here, you might have a higher connection rate because that's got even fewer barriers to entry. You know, show up if you want to, connect with us, we'll give you some more information, but it's ongoing, but it doesn't have a lot of training or a lot of time commitment. If you're looking for a graphic designer to help you rebuild your website, your page views might be high, your connection rate is probably going to be pretty low. If you're getting 1 or 2 qualified volunteers, you know, per day or per week, that's probably pretty good because that's a really limited skill set. It takes a lot of time. Not everyone's going to be interested in doing that kind of opportunity. So this is where we really want to make sure that we're talking to the right people. And you might say, oh, anyone can do this, but look at who's doing it now. Who really is like your superstar? Who does this resonate with? We want to make sure that we're targeting that. So VolunteerMatch does allow you to sort of see those connections. We can see who's connected with us. Thankfully, nobody in the last 30 days, but let's go ahead and see all time. Sometimes when I'm doing this right, it's all testing, which is good. When I'm doing this wrong, it's people we don't know. But this looks pretty good. These are mostly people we know. So that makes me happy. But here you can see that connection. I can see when they connected. If I ask them custom questions using our greeting managers or our question manager, that information would show up here too with our advanced membership. And then the exporting is also something that is limited to our Premier membership account. But being able to see all of these connections and being able to evaluate this, for me, when I'm actively recruiting on VolunteerMatch, this is what I use to determine if I'm doing a good job, if something needs tweaking. If I'm getting a lot of views, but not a lot of connections, I might switch the language around. I might try a different sort of call to action. If I'm getting not a lot of views at all, I might, well, I would probably repost, which means bring that back up to the top of opportunities, the list of opportunities, and I'll show you how to do that. Again, that's our Premier membership level only. But I might also go in and look at my title. Is it something that's not resonating? Am I not doing a good job of telling my story? Have I made it feel vague, or am I looking for something really specific? What happens, we recruit mostly skills-based volunteers here. What I see a lot in my account is a lot of views and not a lot of connections, because I'm looking for really specific people who have a really specific time commitment that they can make to my organization. But that's something to keep in mind as you evaluate what's good and what's not good. So what's working, what's not working. If I want to repost, maybe I know I need 100 more opportunities for my race at the end of the month. I've got to get those eyes on my opportunities. I would use my repost button. We just activated these earlier this week. If you touch something that hasn't been touched in a while, over 30 days, it will automatically repost. But with our Premier membership, you can repost anytime you want. So now that's right back at the top of opportunities, of search results.
Absolutely. And on that note, we were actually listening to some feedback from some of our existing members. And one of our members noticed a 780% increase in the number of interested volunteers simply by using the one-click reposting feature. She had told me that they recruited about 150 volunteers in 10 years. And in the last year alone, since they've implemented one click, they've received 117 volunteer interest. So absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
If increasing your visibility is one of your recruitment goals, this is the tool that will help you do that.
And honestly, and Basil has more information, this is sort of worth it. This is where you make that case to your executive director, to the people who manage your budget, for those tools. And we do have 30 days free, right? So you can test it out and see if it works for you.
Right.
All right, so let's go ahead and just finish up with our best practices for recruiting online and things to think about, whether you're posting on VolunteerMatch or posting on another site. So online recruitment oftentimes is that first time a volunteer learns about you, your organization, your clients, what you do. Remember, if they already know about you, they're probably just going to go right to your website or call you, find you on Facebook and say, hey, I want to volunteer. But if they don't know you, this is where we can sort of we're like at the candy by the checkout aisle. People are like, oh my gosh, I want to do that. I could do that. I could use some Skittles right now. So as Basil was saying, we really want to make sure that we are creating that warm greeting, that warm welcome. Hi, how are you? Welcome to our opportunity. Are you going to be good at this? Let's tell you what we need and why it matters. Be clear about not just stating your needs, which I feel like as volunteer engagement professionals. We're really good about knowing what we need, but we also need to be better about the impacts that volunteers make in our organization. Tell that story too. Not just we need you to do this, this, and this, but answer the question, why does this matter? Why should you give me your time? I can give you this amazing experience, this amazing opportunity to make a difference in someone's life, to save your community, to do something cool. And don't forget to outline what I call those deal breakers. Do you have to be over the age of 18? Do you have to go through a background check? Do you need to have a driver's license? Just be clear about that. You don't have to be sort of embarrassed that you have criteria for your volunteers, but also don't get into too much granular stuff. That typing 50 words a minute and, doing standing in the back and doing filing. All of that detail from your position description, that doesn't belong in your recruitment message. That's for the next step. Share that full position description. Just get them interested, but give them an idea of who you're looking for and who would be good at this. And this is really, I know sometimes it feels like more work. Oh, if I just cut and post my position descriptions up onto VolunteerMatch or onto my Volunteer Center's website or onto my own website, I'm done, like 2 seconds and I've done it. But you're not going to get those volunteers that you really need. I think to Basil's point with that example, when you invest a little bit of time in online recruitment, just like you should be investing in all of your other recruitment channels, it pays off in the right volunteers. It pays off in volunteers that are better sort of prepared to come into your organization because their expectations match your expectations. All right, so I'm going to turn it back over to Basil. And all of those examples and the dashboard tools are in the slides that you're going to be getting tomorrow along with the recording. But Basil's going to talk a little bit more about our member benefits.
Absolutely. But sorry, guys, before I dive into that, we did get a really good question that's super relevant. And I just want to make sure that I'm able to respond so that all of you guys can hear it. So Laura, one of our listeners, Laura, asked, we have to keep volunteers, quote unquote, in waiting until our project actually begins. Any suggestions for how to manage that need? And I'm actually really excited about this question because I think communication, good, compelling communication is the answer, and that is absolutely what I do and what I love doing. So Laura, my recommendation to you is to make sure that expectations are set up front. When a volunteer expresses interest, we actually have a tool called custom greetings that will go out automatically to that volunteer. So if you have volunteers in waiting, that's really the best place to let them know and set those expectations so that they're aware of what's happening. Maybe provide some additional information on next steps.
Reading, things they should read or think about. And I would also put it in my actual opportunity. This project starts on this date or at the end of this month or in the summer, so that volunteers can manage their expectations there too from the very beginning.
Absolutely. And we find that, when you manage expectations up front, people more often than not are pretty happy.
And we have a way to email everyone that's connected with an opportunity through our premium account. So you can do that as well. One-click email blasting out to all those people waiting, saying, hey, it's coming up. Are you still interested? Take this little survey. Log your information here on our website, whatever that might be.
Definitely. And bear with us, guys, just a few more moments. I am going to spend about a minute talking about our membership, and then we're good to go from there. So again, you may have heard us talking about membership throughout today's webinar, whether you're just starting out or if you're an avid volunteer manager who's looking to zero in on the right fit. We'd love to invite you to explore how being a VolunteerMatch member can really help you fulfill some of those recruitment goals. And not sure if you guys noticed, but 6 months ago, we actually set out to refresh and redesign our website and really make our admin tools more intuitive and easier to use than ever. Today, 6 months later, we only have a few minor changes remaining, but our redesign is almost complete, and we would love to hear what you guys think. Do you love it? Is it more intuitive? Is it easy to use? Let us know. And if membership is something that some of you want to explore, stay tuned. I will send an email to all of you tomorrow with some more details around that.
Great. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us, especially on our take two. I'm so glad GoToWebinar is working fine today. Link to the Learning Center is a great blog which has some more information about our tools, some related webinar topics. I don't know what's coming up. It's been kind of a crazy month, but everything will be coming up. Those are all coming up. So that's the keeper of my calendar. If you have questions, please feel free to reach out to us. You can reach me directly. You can also click reply to any of your GoToWebinar reminders.
And a huge thank you to Alive and to Gretchen for all of your support in helping us create and promote this webinar. If you guys have any questions about Alive, also feel free to reach out to us and we can put you in touch as well.
Yep. Thanks, everybody, and thanks for joining us, and we hope to see you on a future webinar. Bye-bye.